Hey everyone, welcome to the second edition of Viral Vocabulary.
Number two.
My intrepid videographer strikes again. I wanted to thank all of you, whether you're a first timer or whether you saw my first video and you've come back for more, you're a glutton for punishment. I just want to thank everybody who has joined me in this crazy adventure, all these videos that I'm starting to produce. I am completely overwhelmed by the response to the first video. It was utterly unexpected. I just thought it was going to be sort of a fun little thing between a handful of former students and parents, and a couple people might see it, and it's just exploded into this beautiful expression of how we're connected to each other and people just pouring out their appreciation to me, and I am beyond grateful and beyond moved at all the beautiful things that everybody's posted on my Facebook page and underneath the first video, and I'm just so thankful. I'm going to try to honor every minute you spend watching one of these videos by putting every ounce of my effort into making them meaningful, so that hopefully in some small way they might make a difference in your lives during these difficult times. And before I continue, I do need to thank my videographer, Mary. Yesterday I was kind of facetious and we were joking around a little bit, but you all are making such a difference in my life with the comments you're leaving and the friendship that you have given me over the years, many of you. But Mary has also made a difference, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the difference she's made in the lives of her students for 30 years, the lives of her friends, the lives of her family, certainly my life. I'm in front of the camera right now, but she deserves to be just as much. And so, yesterday I kind of mockingly talked about marital bliss, but for 28 and a half years, I've been the beneficiary of that bliss.
Thank you.
And I couldn't be more thankful to have her as my life partner. So, now, for those of you who just developed a cavity, I promise we are going to move on to the next portion of the video. So I was going to do a particular word that was the last word on the last vocab list of every year that I taught 8th grade English. Pneumono ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis. 45 letters, 19 syllables, basically a vocab list unto itself. But I thought, considering it's a lung disease you get from inhaling volcanic ash, and our world is kind of saturated with discussions about lung diseases, I figured that might not be the best course of action today, so I switched over. But then I started thinking about big words, and I thought, well, what about a word that means the use of big words? And so I give you our word of the day. Sesquipedalian. Sesquipedalian. It's an adjective, and it means something that has a lot of syllables, so basically long words, or, if that's not the definition that you're after, given to or characterized by the use of long words. And so, as an example, once my sesquipedalian friend got rolling, I knew I would never get a word in edgewise. And so it can be people who are sesquipedalian, it can be things that are sesquipedalian. Oh, and by the way, I was wondering if you haven't noticed my shirt. Hippopotamonstra sesquipedaliophobic. It's the fear of really big words, which, when you think about it, is kind of ironic. There was some psychiatrist who had a really wicked sense of humor when they invented this word, because by the time they're done diagnosing you with it, you will be having a nervous breakdown. So apparently Scout has been anesthetized by the use of big words. He's kind of collapsed onto the carpeting and he's sort of out of it at the moment. So hopefully he'll revive as the evening goes along. So the origin of sesquipedalian is taken directly from a Latin term that meant literally a foot and a half. It was a unit of measurement. And so the seed was planted for how the word started to evolve by the Roman poet, the ancient Roman poet Horace, in his book Ars Poetica, where he gave a bunch of writing tips to aspiring authors and tried to guide them to certain techniques and perspectives that would allow them to sort of hone their craft. And in this book, one of the cautions that he threw at them was to try to be careful about the use of, as he put it, sesquipedalia verba, foot and a half long words. And so you can see by the juxtaposition of those two terms, the beginning of the evolution of the term as it has become used in modern language. Its first like modern usage, current usage was in roughly the mid 17th century. And then for about 200 years after that, it kept growing until we reached, roughly the mid 1800s, and then the usage of it has been in decline ever since. Now, there's a danger in using big words, or at least, sometimes there's a danger. Sometimes when we use big words, I think people do it to either confuse people, to sound smarter than they are, to, be clever, but sometimes they just mess up the way the word is used. And so over the years, I've actually kept track of some of these in the papers that I've collected and in things I've heard online and stuff. And then, by the way, they're called Malapropisms, where somebody is trying to use a sophisticated word, but it doesn't quite come out the way they intended. So here are 3 of my favorite examples from over the years that I've kind of kept a little treasure trove in a file on my computer. So here's the first one. In science class today, we're going to be dissecting futile pigs. Hopefully, it's not going to be a failed attempt. Here's the second one. I can say with obsolete certainty that our president is not going to be reelected. So apparently he's absolutely certain. And then my favorite, and by the way, I have to put a little warning ahead of time, a little caveat. Any teachers or parents who are using these videos as teaching tools or things to get a writing prompt going with their students or their kids, you may want to fast forward past this next sentence. But it's also my favorite. Mr. Honeyman is my favorite teacher because he is good at using self-defecating humor. Oh, dear God. I don't even remember if I tried commenting on it. It probably would have caused more trouble. I probably just let it go at that. So when we try to use big words, it can sometimes backfire on us in the most unexpected of ways. But I've always been fascinated by words. And so, when you talk about whether it's a big word or a little word, but in particular, when you talk about sometimes employing these larger, more intense words, it's about deploying words strategically so that you say exactly what you mean and you have the exact effect on your audience that you were hoping for. So it's about precision. It's not about pomposity. It's about trying to get across to people exactly what it is you're trying to get across to them. And so when you think, like words have subtle shadings, right? So if you were trying to tell somebody about a kid who had an accident on their bike and they grabbed the brake handles and all of a sudden they, fell over the top of the handlebars. Is fell a perfectly acceptable verb? Sure, it's clear, it's grammatically correct, it gets the idea across. But if you said they catapulted over the top of the handlebars, all of a sudden that gives the entire piece or the speech or whatever it is you're doing a higher level of energy and intensity and creativity, and your audience is going to be more amused. Same thing if you're trying for a more kind of serious effect. So let's say you were, writing something about the effect of bullying on people. And you said that, many students today are very upset about the things that are said about them online. Versus if you were to say, many of our students in today's world are shattered by the things that are being said about them online. It has an entirely different tone. And because of that different tone, it's going to have a deeper impact on the audience. It's going to change their perception of your message. Now, we were going to stop the take at that point anyway, but it's a good thing because if we hadn't, you would have heard guffaws of laughter coming out of Mary in the background. As soon as I used the word pomposity, she broke into gales of laughter. What is that? It's how I actually talk. And she would say to you, yep, this is what I'm used to hearing from the dude on a daily basis. So anyway, be that as it may. So, now that my wife's mockery has subsided to a tolerable level...
For now.
Yeah. I would like to share a quote with you by Diane Setterfield. There's something about words. In expert hands, manipulated deftly, they take you prisoner, wind themselves around your limbs like spider silk. And when you're so enthralled you cannot move, they pierce your skin, enter your blood, numb your thoughts. Inside you, they work their magic. I love that quote, but here's the thing. People don't need to be experts for their words to work their magic on the inside of somebody else. So I have a request of you today. I have a request for a gift that each of you watching this video is uniquely qualified to bestow. I'm asking that you post in the comments underneath the video, or if you have access to it and prefer that, on my Facebook page, instances where somebody else's words worked their magic on the inside of you. Who inspired you, healed you, made you feel important, helped you see the world through fresh eyes, touched your heart so deeply that you cried. Use your viral vocabulary to tell us your stories. Give us that gift, please, at a time when we desperately need something to sustain us. And as I close the last time, we can weather this storm together. Be safe, be healthy, and let's take care of each other. See you next time.